Now, a month ago, I had not considered running for Attorney General. It began to be something that I wanted to consider because I was at the state legislature working with our legislators and passing some legislation that would help clear out some of the backlog in our district court cases to free up time for more juries. And I noticed the absolute absence of Sean Reyes, our Attorney General. And by everyone's account, Sean Reyes is a decent and a good guy and a fun guy. But in fact, I was telling Tony before everybody else got on that, you know, I actually met Sean 3 or 4 years ago at a public speaking event where he was speaking, and I shook his hand and spoke with him for about 60 seconds. And he seemed like a very decent fellow. The problem for me with that scenario is that I've now been for 14 months the elected prosecutor in Utah's second largest county, and during those 14 months I haven't even had a phone call from Sean. I haven't had a meeting with him. I tried once to get through and have a telephone meeting, but I just couldn't. He just wasn't available to me. And so I'm running because I want to reform the criminal justice system. I want to reduce the number of plea bargains. I want to increase the number of trials so that we have more freedom being exercised by people and less power by prosecutors. I also want to take a very serious look at what we do with nonviolent people who we're putting in jails. Because it seems to me that our role as prosecutors is to protect our community first and to punish people second. And sometimes in the name of punishing people, we actually do more harm to our society. And so, frankly, I am engaging in some very serious reforms in Utah County, to the point where the American Bar Association named me recently one of the 6 prosecutors in America who's changing the paradigm for prosecution. We're doing a lot of things which is making our system better. The problem is in Utah that we don't have one criminal justice system. We have 29 criminal justice systems. We have 29 criminal justice systems because we have 29 elected county attorneys, elected or appointed county attorneys. And we don't have an attorney general's office that exercises the supervisory powers that an attorney general should exercise. The attorney general is the chief law enforcement official of the state of Utah, and by law vests the attorney general with the statutory, not only authority, but obligation to exercise supervisory powers over county and district attorneys. And, you know, I've served now under 3 attorneys general. I was a Juab County attorney years ago. I served under Jan Graham, I served under Mark Shurtleff, and now I've served under Sean Reyes. And I just have to say that, you know, we had support under Jan Graham, we had support under Mark Shurtleff. We don't have any support under the current administration, to the point where when county attorneys need something, they don't go to the attorney general's office, they go to local county attorneys. When law enforcement needs something, they don't go to the attorney general's office, they go to local county attorneys. My telephone rang this morning at 5 in the morning because, if you may have seen on the news, there was an officer involved shooting in Vernal. Well, rather than calling the attorney general's office to come investigate it, they called my office to come investigate it, because we just don't get the service that we need out of the attorney general's office. And again, I'm not saying Sean is a bad guy. I'm not saying Sean's a bad lawyer. I'm saying I believe that Sean's focus and priorities are someplace different than they ought to be. He spends a lot of time on the Underground Railroad, which is laudable work. Human trafficking is a huge problem, but quite frankly, we have huge problems here in the state of Utah, and no one really here to guide the ship.